Dear Venerable and Sisters, my friends, this is our question and answer session. Probably the last one before the end of this retreat. So just like yesterday, I will just go through the English written questions, and meanwhile I cordially invite if anyone has any other ideas or comments or questions, please you may come out with. Yet another announcement from Venerable that he's been so keen to record all these talks and the question and answers, and by tomorrow midday he can prepare a few copies also for those who wish to have a CD, but anyway after a few days time everything will be appear in the website. Before that, if anyone specifically need CDs, personal one, please write a list simply to know how many CDs Venerable should prepare. Or if anyone has any data pen or passport or that kind of thing, that also the transfers can do somewhere around 12 o'clock. So the basic announcement is that everything will be ready in few days time for the web, in the internet. And before that, if someone needs a personal copy, CD, he or she may write a paper and let Venerable know. Or otherwise, if someone need to get it transferred to personal data pen or a iPod or passport, Venerable is ready to help. That will be around 12 o'clock tomorrow, midday. Dear Venerable Sir, I am starting with the question and answer. Dear Venerable Sir, could you please explain whether feeling of liking and disliking are Vedana or Tanha? My understanding is that by time there is liking and liking or disliking, the Vedana has already advanced to the Tanha. The reaction to the Vedana has already taken place, Sati. Mindfulness need to be aware of the feeling before the liking or disliking to effectively undermine the asavas. Please comment. Yes, it says that Chakkuncha paticca rupecha uppajjati chakku viññānam tinnaṁ saṅgati passo passapacca vedana vedana pacca yang vedeti taṁ sañjānāti. That is the normal series explained in the suttas like Madhupindika. Whenever the contact happens, as a vedana, the contact has a proximate cause. Contact has the proximate cause, Vedana happens, and whatever the Vedana, then only understanding or perception can happen. Yang Vedeti tang Sanjanati, yang Sanjanati tang Vitakketi. And that is the way it is leading to Tanha, the craving. So therefore, whenever it goes up to the liking and disliking, that is well formed towards Tanha. The suggestion is Sati need to be aware of the feeling before the liking or disliking to effectively undermine the asava. This is also very good if someone can really be sharp and be precise at the Vedana level, and if it is agreeable, the disliking happen. If it is disagreeable, dislike happen. If it is agreeable, disagreeable in between, no liking, no disliking happens. But even one can tackle at the latter stage of liking and disliking, it is also not bad. One can start it. More and more the wise reflection come to be. With the help of this mindfulness, the process will regress back to understand the feeling itself. So therefore, even at the beginning, even it is not possible, never mind, you can start at the tanha level. As the efficiency increases, it will come back to the Vedana level. This is just a note for appreciation. Thank you for all the Dhamma gems you have so clearly taught us. May you too receive all what you have given others with metta. What language is the medium or instructions in the retreat and talks held by you in Mitrigala? This is for the moment. 3 retreats are waiting. All are going to happen in Sinhala because there is no such a request so far to go in other languages. So basically it is in Sinhala. Unless otherwise there's a special necessity happen. But in July we are planning to have an international one. That will be most probably in English. At the point of, next one, at the point of death, what should we recollect if possible? 3 options are given. One thing is metta, the other one is recollect past good deeds. First one is maintain. The question is, at the point of death, what should we recollect if possible, mindfulness or metta, or recollect past good deeds. Problem is whether we are going to get a choice or not. That is one thing questionable. If possible, that if you are going to get a possibility, choice, that means you are in the mindfulness already. If that is the case, the maintaining the mindfulness will be the best. And in case of failure, that if there is no mindfulness, of course you have no choice. It will be taken away by the prominence of the perception behind, and therefore if you can be mindful at the death, that is the best. A lady wishes to know whether one should be a strict vegetarian to qualify for Sotapatti Magga. There is no such a strict this thing, because even the full enlightenment, Samma Sambuddha, can be a non-vegetarian, just like our Buddha. He has taken, when you are reading the monastic code, number of events you can see, the case histories that Buddha himself consumed non-vegetarian food sometimes. Bhante, in the conventional world we see many beautiful things, conventional senses, paintings, furniture, people, shops, goods, etc. Ugly things, conventional sense. In this sense, is it not appropriate to note beautiful or ugly, living in the moment, move on, not wanting it, not dreaming about it, etc. Seeing, hearing, etc. Please, so that is what is trying to say. The world is full of variety, entertainment, pretty things, and if you wish to safeguard yourself, you have to control your mind. There is one stanza in the Samyutta Nikaya, Nate kama chitrani loke sankappa rago purisassa kamo Tittanti chitrani tatheva loke atetta dhiro vineti kama. The world is full of all the pretty things, but the most concern, important, critical thing is the person's own likings and disliking or own his thoughts. So therefore let the things be in the world as pretty as ever. The wise person is always concerned about his or her taints or his or her defilements or undermined currents, and then he will be controlling the both. So as far as the internal sense organ and the external stimuli is concerned, both are necessary things to have these senses to, the feelings to happen, Vedana to happen. But out of these two, most primordial thing is internal instinct or his or her liking and disliking, or undermining taints and defilements. So wise person never worry about what is coming from the outside. He try his best to keep the internal cravings to or defilements to keep it in control, keep it under control. As the question comes, that noting as seeing and hearing is the tactic, or otherwise in the radical way, the dimension, look at the thing, even though you are an eyed person, look at the thing as a blind. Even you have a good hearing sensitivity, hear the things as if you are deaf. And likewise you can restrain yourself, main your faculties. With much respect, when someone goes to deep samadhi, hardly feeling the breath, what would you have your object as? Is it the tiny small, in-out breath? If the tiny in-out breath is available, that is of course the object of meditation, but the early part of the question says hardly feeling the breath. So that is the point. One has to be very sharp with the precision and the mindfulness. When this transition happens, without entertaining doubts, without letting the minds to fall into sleep, or without do force breathing, one has to synchronize, one has to acclimatize, so that go along with the subtlety of the breath. Even if it is not hardly feeling, even if it is unperceivable, so-called, still you must not agitate the situation. Just make sure the mindfulness is intact and let this calming down happen without much of a turbulence. Can you please tell us how you come across the Dhamma after a very colorful university life? Example, the Dhamma master. You have meditated with certainly it will inspire us all. Can you please tell us how you come across the Dhamma after this is the karma, we can say, not the Dhamma. That is the way it is bringing the people to the Dhamma. So it's a karmic forces also working. So I am a really an opportunist. That is only I can say. Really opportunist. Whenever the chance happens, I never let it go. I grab a hold. That is the way. I have to be a Machiavelli. I have to be a shrewd person to be Dhamma, to be in the Dhamma. So that is the only requirement you need. Because it says in the Burmese way, always rain is happen, but if you do not keep your vessel outside, there is no accumulation of water. So you have to keep the vessel out, but if it is something like this, there is no accumulation happens. If it is a very small mouth and a big belly, still very little accumulation, and if there are holes, no accumulation. So therefore, if you have a vessel which can sustain the water, ever it is filling, because rain is always raining. So it's a matter that you keep your vessel out, then Dhamma is there, and it is ever compassionate, ever wise. So it is your openness, your preparedness is the only matter. The Dhamma masters you have meditated with, so early part, it is a coincidence, I do not know. All the associations were with lay people, and they all, entertain that lay people have a better chance to understand the Dhamma unprejudiced way. That means that we have no, just like any authority or any convention or kind of thing. So we can analyze, we can criticize, we can take it as like, and therefore the lay people has a better opportunity. And most of the teachers that I met, I don't say teachers, I mean co-practitioners, they had a very good education, and lucky enough, they were all with a very moral integrity and a simple life and high thinking. And some of the other, I got the attraction. And from the Sri Lankan Buddhism is concerned, I would think that to get the street in the early part, English as a language has a big bearing. Because English is short to the point, straightforward. So therefore, if you have academic background, learning specifically, I would say the mindfulness as such, English books going to give a very precise and short to the point interpretation without much of gloss over. But whenever it goes to the Sinhalese interpretations, they are hardly talking about the point. I would like to mention by name Venerable Jnanapunika's book on the power of mindfulness. It's ever shining, because it is directly talking about the subject. So therefore, these kind of things were coincidence happening, and I was not qualified much because my English was so bad and horrible at that time. But even then I thought, why not be with them? And slowly, everything went for the betterment. Venerable Dhammajiva, is there anything that Buddhism can say to an atheist? They reject karma and rebirth despite all the evidence, documented case, histories, etc. It is a growing belief that we are here according to evolution, and when we die, that's it. Recently I read a book written by Richard Dawkins, and that is the God Delusion. Very interesting book. And while going through the book, I see whether he has any reference to the Buddhism. Only one incident he mentioned, that it's also mixed attitude. He says he came to know that some of the social worker, Westerner, came to Thailand, and for the admiration of this social worker, she has seen a Thai monk is taking care about her child. That child is just vegetable and hopeless, but the mother is so much taking care with all. And then the social worker gone and asked, well, how can you motivate, where does you get the motivation to keep that child? Because definitely it says that it's not going to recover. But she says that it is my duty, I am doing. Ultimately she has told that is son's karmic force. And therefore he has no hope. But I am accumulating good karma. And that social worker has mentioned, even though she is doing such a generous work, she attributed it's a bad karma of the child that social worker can't understand. Even if that interpretation is not there, I really admire what she is doing. But as far as it says that is a karma, bad karma of the child, I can't understand it. Like that, Dawkins has quoted that incident. That indicates from the atheist point of view, as mentioned, the karma and the rebirth, they don't accept it. And you won't believe. And when Upandita Sayadaw, when he goes to West, he says, I never represent Buddha. Because Westerners do not like the personal worshipping and kind of thing. I am going to say, I am going to represent Dhamma. I am a Dhamma missionary, Dhamma Duta. And don't respect me as a Sangha also. I am just spreading Dhamma and sharing with you. And therefore, even if you are not paying respect to the Buddha, even if you are not respecting to me as a Sangha, I don't care. But I am humbly asking you, just believe what I am going to tell you, it's on principles. It is Dhamma. You can either accept it or reject it. And then the Sayadaw himself says, so when they come to know Dhamma is 84,000 units of Dhamma, how a person, amateur person, come to know, to believe or not, because Dhamma is a colossal amount of knowledge. So therefore, I have to explain them, even if you do not the whole Dhamma, if you know only Satipatthana, that's enough. And if you believe it, you are qualified to come to the retreat and share with me. And even then, Sayadaw says, Satipatthana commentary, together with the commentary, it comes with a thick book. So everyone come and say, how can I say yes or no? Because Satipatthana itself is a big book and everything. Then he says, if you are just believing Sati, that's enough. Then we can deal with. The Sati would do. Even for the atheists, even if they do not accept the karma or rebirth, they are not much of a very key issues of the Buddha teaching. Buddha teaching is basically the appamada, the mindfulness. If the mindfulness is accepted, if the atheist is accepting, that's enough. So therefore you have to simplify the situation for the beginner to understand the mindfulness, satikvaham bhikkhave sabbattikam vadami. That is the Buddha says, O monks, the sati, you need everywhere, it will do the whole beneficial thing for you. So therefore mind your own business. Be mindful. That's all. And therefore you can keep the open issue, even for the atheists, the mindfulness. If they accept it, whether they accept rebirth or karma, it doesn't matter. And definitely I will ask who the person can prove karma and rebirth. These things are just experimentally they are trying, still they are trying to prove. There is no proof. Even the Buddha says, okay, you can completely reject the karma and the rebirth, but you can accept it. But if you are accepting, what happens is, you are morally become responsible because you are reaping your own deeds. So therefore, there's a chance for you to be little docile, little disciplined and little tamed. And if you are not accepting, well, you can just forget about what you do and then go there. Under these two conditions, if one person accepts, the other person not. The accepted person will be disciplined. So, he will not be harming others, he will not harm himself. So therefore, if the karma is going to be the real fact, the person who accepted will be double benefited because his discipline itself will lead to the good destiny and he has accumulated good karma, therefore karmic results also will be supportive. But the person who rejected karma will not take the responsibility about the moral responsibility. He is bound to commit transgressions and ultimately he fall into trap And on top of that, due to the bad karma, if it is really actual thing, going to get the bad results. So that is the way the Buddha himself present the karma and the rebirth. So therefore, don't take these peripheral things as the main key issues to measure people. And then sectarianism happens. The atheists have a chance to say, we are Buddhists, we are traditional and kind of thing. And we also can say, we are also atheists. We don't believe a creator God. Of course, it may be we may be categorically rejecting the God and kind of thing. Antagonism can happen. So therefore, as far as Dhamma is concerned, we can easily invite, keep the door open for the atheist. As far as the mindfulness, if you take the mindfulness as the core issue, or diligence as the core issue.
It was just recently there's this Stephen Batchelor who's been making a lot of waves, and even here on ABC he's been talking about basically being an atheist Buddhist and this and that. And so he's interpreting Buddhism in a very atheist viewpoint and putting a filter on it. So it would be nice if people can just keep an open mind on the teachings and focus on Satipatthana rather than sort of trying to make Buddhism an atheist religion.
If someone is going to interpret Buddhism from the atheist point of view or filtering it, I would say it's a kind of a reaction. It's a kind of reaction. He's going to prove, he's going to interpret. But the best thing is, take Satipatthana as Satipatthana. Not to support the atheism or not to support theism, but keep both the issue, that is called suspended decision, evenly suspended attention. Theists are there, atheists are there, mindfulness is there. At the beginning you consider all the three. Mindfulness is the tool. When you put it into practice, the mindfulness will ultimately let you know whether theism, atheism, what is the justifiable. So therefore, you should not rush to a decision to prove Buddhism from the atheist point of view, or theist point of view, or reject the theism, or the atheism. Just put yourself engaged with the mindfulness, and that is the theoretically and practically the shortest cut. Thought cannot be controlled when we meditate. It is not me, mine, myself, the thoughts. Similarly, is volition also not the same, not in our control. Then can these five aggregates be blamed or gained? Unwholesome, wholesome deed. Merits for this volitional act. One day, when I am reading, I am not much seriously engaged in reading, but one day I read one of the Abhidhamma book, and it says the sasankarika, asankarika. All the deeds you can do in the English terms, actively or passive. Whether you do it actively or it's passively happening. You do force breathing or breathing taking place. So when that happened, it was a very big thing for me to think. I thought that what are the things I am doing by myself and what are the things happen to me, and it was titillating me. But when I go to, after becoming a monk, I went to Venerable Jnanananda, the Katukurunde, and then I told Bande, when I'm reading this passage in Sasankarika, Asankarika, the volitional and non-volitional action, it gave me a kind of the way to analyze a person or day's activity or whatever may be. Then he posed the question, can we really discriminate our whole action in asankarika and sasankarika? Can we really say this is happening, this is doing? This is the same thing asking. Thoughts not under control, even the volition, can we discriminately say it is a happening or it is a doing? It depends on your perception. So those who do not have that kind of analysis, they think, I am doing, this is what I did, This is my discovery, this is my job, this is my wife, and this is what I did, and all the kind of thing happen. But when you keep on practicing, when the mindfulness come into the really advanced and up to the wise reflection, hardly you can see it's a happening or doing. When that transition taken place, you lose your boundaries. You lose your grammar. You lose your communication. You then onward, you do not know whether it is something happening or doing. But by that time, I would say you are very advanced in meditation. So therefore, no much of a theoretical question. So at the beginning, everything solid and hard and the cut and dry. Solid facts. This is Rupa, this is Vedana, this is Sanya, this is Sankhara, this is Vijnana. But when you go there, ultimately you find that everything coming from the same source, through our perception only and through our consciousness only, we cut and dry. That is our Putujjana nature. This is our Sansaric being's nature. When you go to the advanced state, these all margins, all boundaries will vanish. And everything, one in everything and everything is one happen. At that point of view, this question is valid. But if you are really in that level, if you are looking the problem from top to bottom, all these things are Montessori kind of teaching. But if you are looking from that bottom to top, without that kind of a teaching, you can't go, you can plan your thing, you can advance yourself, you can program yourself. So therefore, at the beginning you have to accept them as cut and dry. And under that base, you go there and ultimately you disprove it. That is the way it happens. So therefore, after a certain extent, you go to an experience where communication is difficult, very difficult to express yourself, because no boundaries, no grammar, everything happens. So that is the point where you tread past the volitional and non-volitional action, doing and happening, seeing and looking, listening and hearing, everything there. So any language, I think, most difficult part is to understand the passive voice and the active voice. This is a very tricky thing. So when you go advance further, each thing will be questionable. So therefore, whenever you are talking, the grammarian will be upset. Or the people accept all the thing, cut and dry method, will get upset and come against you, what you are telling. But experience point of view, there is no such a kind of a contradiction. So therefore, top-bottom kind of a look, this question is valid. But bottom-top kind of a look, you have to keep the convention as convention. If it is this, okay, carry on. But if you feel there is the volitional action, there is a non-volitional action, things, accept as it is not a mistake, it is not a damage, it is not a disqualification. Still, mindfulness will lead you to the destiny. The question is that also not the same, not in our control. Then, can these 5 aggregates be blamed or gain merit for these volitional acts? That is why that merits and all the kind of thing, the basic term for the volition is sankhara, punyabhi sankhara, apunyabhi sankhara, ananjabhi sankhara. Whatever you do, think that you do, whether it is merit or demerits, it is extending your sansaric journey. Moment you accept and letting thing go, let thing happen, you are not claiming, you won't get commit with this thing and you will get liberated. So this chance, this change is a critical point in the meditation, meditative life. If your dearly loving one lie to you continuously and also give promises to not lying again. What can you do? He knows it's wrong. Maybe he can't control his own mind. How can I help? I think mind your own business. That's all. And you can help once you served yourself. Without that, you don't know how much, if I am to take the question from my point of view, how much I am lying, knowingly or unknowingly. This business world, without lying, it is very difficult to do. When I go to America, they told that there's a spray made out of oil, and in the pan they have to put a spray, and then the pan will cook, but the thing will stick into the pan. So there is a one dose, you have to spray and then do, it is cooking. And that has been advertised, no fat. And then one person, a question says, one dose don't carry poisonous amount of fat. Therefore it is advertised, the oil is advertised as no fat. You see, this is the legally they escape. So this is the way it happens. So we don't know, the particular person you are referring may tell how much you are lying to himself or herself from their point of view. So therefore we can't help others because we are not completely control in our verbal deeds. We may not have any intention, but for the other's point of view, it appears like lying. So therefore, don't try to think that you are in a better position to help him or her. Keep love, keep the relationship, but let it happen like that. Mind your own business and make a promise that taking that an example, may I control myself whenever I am talking. So in the interviews, who Pandita Sayadaw mentioned, when you are asking the yogi, how many minutes you can keep the object face to face with your noting mind, he or she may come and say, sometimes I can see 10 rising and falling, so 10 seconds or 10 minutes I can observe it. And the same person after well-established mindfulness, he or she may say, even a split second it is impossible, so much of thoughts are coming, now only I come to know, even if it is appear to be with the face-to-face with the breath, a lot of hearing, a lot of thinking, a lot of pains are coming. Earlier I thought I am in a chunk completely with the breath, but now knows even the breath is face-to-face, background thoughts are there, pains are there, sounds are there, sometimes quickly I go there and come back, and now only I know the swift nature of the mind. From that point of view, the early statement is a lying. Earlier you reported you can be with 5 minutes. But Sayadaw says this is not the meaning of the lie. At that time that is what you believe. That is true to your type. But now your mind is very advanced. Now you can see even within that chunk of time, mind is shifting. So therefore at that time we had no any intention of lying our master. But the master knows. So therefore this lying, we can measure others lie, but when we are doing ourselves, may not be intentionally, we are not 100% sure. So therefore, don't assume that you are in a better position to correct the other person. But keep the love, keep the relationship. One day, through your silent sermon, but not by meddling with, it will be a lesson to the other person. But you are going to teach, or if you assume that you are in a better position, your mindfulness will be vulnerable and susceptible. Dear Bhante, you said to observe the beginning and the end of the breath, middle and the end of the breath. Do all these happen at the tip of the nose, or do we follow it, breath down to the abdomen? Please explain. Thank you. So this is usually taking the example of the Buddha, that he has given the epithet the mindfulness is as a doorkeeper, doorarika. So doorkeeper is observing at the door, but he is responsible about the whole security of the whole institute. But he never run around the institute and check. He only guard, only monitor the door. By observing it, he can have a fair idea whether there is such a big robbery taking place or looting or something happen. So therefore, the mindfulness in the specifically conducive for one-pointedness, better to keep it one place. Being placed in one, the critical place like the door, you can take care about the whole institute, the security of the institute. So therefore, being there, you see the beginning, the middle and the end. You are not moving. You are at the guard room. Guard room may be at the end of the nostril or top of the upper lip, or sometimes you may be looking at the abdominal movement, or you may be looking at the lifting, the left leg, the right leg, or winking of your eye, lifting your hand, anything that you have to observe the beginning, the middle and the end. As far as the breath is concerned, you better to keep it in one place. It is conducive for the one-pointedness. Venerable Bhante, I wish to pay my gratitude and respect toward your teaching. They are unique because they are your own experience, and so we know that we could experience it ourselves as well. I have experienced a minute from that already. This time, from the day you presented the first Dhamma talk, it pierced my mind, and I never felt sleepy during my practice. Much merit to you, Bhante, to keep my awareness, keep me awakened to this arising and passing away of the Dhamma. Thero Saranai. So that good that we have not changed the Dhamma talk time from the evening to the morning. In the afternoon time, some people keeping awake and still understanding. A question for Venerable Dhamma Buddha Rakkita. It is not from me, eh?
So the question is, how have you incorporated Ajahn Brahm's teachings into your Mahasi Vipassana training? I think most people here are familiar with Ajahn Brahm and...
not clear.
Am I not clear? Somebody was just saying to me recently that Venerable Dhammajiva is like Ajahn Brahm and Sinhalese. So unfortunately, I can only hear the Sinhalese being spoken, so I hear that Venerable Dhammajiva is very witty, and it's very obvious in the Q&A sessions at the end of talking in English, he switches to Sinhalese, and it becomes very colloquial and very witty. And Ajahn Brahm is very witty, and I enjoy that sense of humor. And I haven't stopped my Vipassana training. I keep going with it, actually. I mean, it's just, I think I calculated I had spent at least 10,000 hours doing Vipassana training in Burma alone. So it's really quite deeply in a groove. Even Ajahn Brahm refers to me as a Vipassana monk. And he kind of shakes me up a lot. He comes out with some outrageous statements, and which used to quite sting me in the past. Also, he can be quite, he has an English sense of humor which can be a bit bitter at times, and it used to be a bit annoying to me, actually. And so his remarks used to kind of cut me. And in fact, I've known Ajahn a long time, and it was only in the last few years that I got close to him. In fact, it was only by staying here that I really realized that there's a public persona, and then there's a very private Ajahn Brahm.
And it's very interesting. He's a very interesting person to get to know. He's actually an introvert, if you know him personally. So he doesn't come across in his public persona. He seems to be this kind of outrageous character in some ways. But he is privately extremely introvert and has many wonderful qualities to get to know. And, you know, it's not just... It's not just as such through the formal teachings that the teachings are transmitted from people to people. It's also a very direct personal relationship, how they behave, how they react. So, you know, I mean, it's one thing to go around saying, oh, I do vipassana and I do meditation, I do mindfulness, I keep sati and all this. It's another thing to have a guy who's really on your case about concentration, and he shakes you up and he goes all commentarial, and he challenges that the Satipatthana Sutta is a bit post-Buddha period, and it doesn't correlate with the Chinese agamas and all this wonderful stuff, and it's very challenging. But like, I always go back into my practice. You know, I always dig. You know, I apply what I know what to do, and I start to get my own data. And then I know in my own heart, you know, whatever somebody else says is not really relevant. It's what ultimately goes on in my own heart. Like Venerable has been encouraging everybody to apply sati in their life, and then you can know for yourself where it brings you and how it changes your life, how it changes your heart. So I do that, and I do it with Ajahn's teachings as well. You know, he's a real shaker for me. He really shakes up my practice. You know, we can go around in a nice little cocoon that, oh, I'm this, I follow this lineage and that's the way. But he really shakes it up for me. And he's a great role model for me as a bhikkhu in the West. You know, it's really difficult in the West. You know, I always view it as a lunar landing, actually, to be in the West. I mean, if you've practiced in Asia, if you live in Asia, it's very ingrained into society, and you have a lot of givens. But here in the West, it really is, you get knocked on the head a lot. You get challenged a lot about your practice. But on the other side, it's it keeps your practice very lively. You know, you really have Dhamma fighting in your heart, because there's no refuge. There's no refuges at all here. I really appreciate the shelter that Ajahn gives me in my practice. He gives me a lot of inspiration, a lot of guidance. So in a big picture way, he helps me tremendously. And, you know, just being with him. I don't have a lot of conversations with him. I'm not like buddy with him or something like that. He's very private. He's not like that with anybody. So it's just what you see is the effect. You know, he's a lightning rod in the West. You know, he gets asked all the incredibly crazy questions, and how he has to turn them around and see the wisdom aspect. I mean, living in the monastery through this whole bhikkhuni business recently has been very interesting, because you know that he doesn't have somebody to turn around. He doesn't go and talk to Ajahn Chah about what should he do or not do. He just goes back to his cave and he cracks on with his practice. And it's really inspiring. I mean, he works extremely hard. He really drives really hard into his practice. And that is so inspiring. You know, whether he's doing jhanas or whether I'm doing vipassana, I don't care. I find that very inspiring. And so, you know, I just go with my own heart. I dig deep into my own practice. I'm happy to have people shake me up about it. And it's great, you know, it's really great. Yeah. You know, I don't know, that's where my instincts have brought me. I listen more and more to my own gut at the end of the day. You know, if I feel that there's a benefit for me here, and then I stay on here. And, you know, Ajahn is very, very supportive. He doesn't care as long as you're happy in your practice, actually, what you're doing. So he's really been very helpful. A very wonderful person, I must say. And I've learned a lot about Mahasi Vipassana practice by being with him. So I hope that gives you some ideas.
And this question occurred to me also, but Venerable Buddha never give me a chance to ask this question because he is always happy. So I have nothing to ask. Because, every time I see, he is fully engaged in Dhamma, engages activities, so I find whatever may be coming, he know how to grasp it. And therefore, when the Ramani is suggesting, in the early 2 days, who can guide the yogis, and when his name came, I was so happy, because I know he will not make any repercussions, make any complications. He will do the simply, what is possible. And that is both available in the great master teachers as well as Achan. And that is all we have to do. We must be getting as much as possible than try to do sectarianism or discrete differences and kind of thing. Rather than the contradiction, get the sap. Thank you very much. For the question also I am thank. And thank you for your answer also. Singlish question is basically, thank you very much kind. So that, but anyway, I will go through it. So much is for the English. Now onward, I will take time for the Singlish question. So that I will have to translate for the English people to understand 3 times. So there were 3 indifferent requests. That my Sinhalese talks are very appealing and very colloquial and lot of vocabulary and kind there. So therefore, what about the retreat only in Sinhala? But she specifically mentioned that is not to deprive all the people, those who know only English, but you may do whatever may be justifiable, but to give a talks only in Sinhala. So I would like to know that some of the views from the people, those who can't understand Sinhala, and to balance this situation. If anyone would like to present ideas, yes?
I say this with humbly, but I think some of the Australians are really very good Buddhists and would be ashamed if you describe them of your talk. I really believe that your presentation is really extremely powerful, but that you come to say what you say in English is period. So it would be a real shame for 15 to 17 different years to be private and for them to be gradually pushed out of this because they want to say once in a we also realize this is Australia and this is an English-speaking country, and so we have to bear that in mind.
One minute, yes.
I'd like to say that actually all of you have Australian children, and it's all very good for all of you to come here and sit here. You have excellent Sinhalese, most of you, not all of you, and you can understand what's being said, but you're going to go home and you're not going to have the first clue how to teach your kids. And I'd like you to think about that very clearly, because as a Western monk, I end up teaching your kids. And I see situations where something happens and you all go to see the Sri Lankan monk, and it's very good for your heart. And what about your kids? Zip. They haven't a clue, they can't connect, the teachings are ossified, they can't understand the Sinhalese because the Sinhalese is not colloquial, and they only speak, frankly, baby English or baby Sinhalese. So they just can't connect. So if you're playing these talks at home, please play them to your own children. And just show, here's how these teachings are connecting in English from a Sinhalese viewpoint. It's not just about 17 English speakers here. It's about your own children. Bring that home. Bring home the teachings in theory and in practice. You're not going home to Sri Lanka, most of you. Your kids are here, your future is here, your grandkids are here. Share these teachings with the world. Share them most of all with your own family.
Some other viewpoints? Yes, someone wanted to.
I just wanted the same actually, because we must be compassionate when we hear the Siram. I mean, not that I don't agree with Tarasa and I agree with Chitra, but we have to be actually think of the fact that we have to be compassionate, hear the Siram to be able to make others also understand love. And because Bhante explained profoundly both languages, I think it has never been brought to the notice that some language is lacking, so therefore I think it's very fair that we keep the BBC English as well. That's it also mentioned.
But anyway, I am telling that I am learning English at a rate.
I thought that the Bhikshus correct the signal and the English banner, so I didn't have a problem with that.
No, it is not telling about any problem. It is a time that double work. For the bilinguals, it is double work, so to compile into one sermon or something like that. But some others came out with this kind of thing. So that means everyone is enthusiastic, everyone is gaining, and we are really in the swing. So it has to run. And while running only we can come to the most efficient method. And best thing is to keep all the doors and windows open. And then the best answer will come. And I know everyone is talking with the genuine, that happy mind. So now this is the third time we are meeting. And when this is happening, that as Venerable mentioned, most of the Sri Lankan children brought up here, they lost to the language, Sinhalese language. So only that is available, and in that sense, I think Ajahn Brahm is doing an excellent thing, because his teachings and the presentation is very good for the children. And so without concluding to do this and that, keeping the issue open, and today after the lunch, Vimal, Ramani and myself, we also were talking how to take this, accommodate everything and make it success in future. And there were some, suggestions came, and Vimal came, all of a sudden he said, next year we will accommodate 120 people. That is the way, otherwise we can't cater for. And both of them requested to have 15-day retreat, 7 days, 15-day continuity, 2 7-day slabs. And then 1 7-day is for the Sinhalese rest, and the second one is English, and those who wish can take all 15 days. So these are the things, but the thing is, can we allocate 15 days according to my timetable as well as the practitioner's timetable? These are the suggestions came. So we will proceed. We will keep the issue open and proceed. Then the best will come. For the moment, I would say, everyone's participation and everyone's contribution is happening at the maximum level. It's the best level. So it's a miracle to have this kind of a retreat here. The facilities and the infrastructure and the cooperation were really, really appreciable.
May I say something, Bhante?
Yes, please.
I'm from Sydney. It's really impossible to get a good young crowd like this for Bhavana retreat, because Bhavana is not that much appreciated over there, even though we have about 10 times the Sinhalese population over here. And we must appreciate and thank Ajahn Brahm for all this. I think it is his, that he has helped the Sinhalese people in Perth to be like this. And also I must also say that we already listen to your CDs in Sinhalese. So I'm sure if we collect some of the CDs, we can always listen to them in Sinhalese if you want to, or English. Thank you.
But there is nothing mentioning that everybody in this hall understands English. Otherwise they would not have been allowed to come to this country. So I think Buddha was not Sinhalese or English. His teaching has nothing to do with language. If you can understand what is being said, that is main sorry.
Banda, just as one of the English-speaking people here, I just wanted to say how much I appreciated being part of the Sri Lankan Dharma community this time. I think I've learnt a lot about Buddha Dharma from watching the Sri Lankan Sinhalese community here. So it's been a very special opportunity for us to be part of this particular retreat, because there's many other retreats during the year that are all in English. And one suggestion may be that Peter can perhaps work with you to provide English Dharma talks on the alternate days or something like that, but because it would really work very well for him to provide the introductory section before you came. So, I wouldn't like to lose the opportunity to be part of this retreat with the Sri Lankan community.
That is yet another aspect to this aspect to this whole thing we are talking, because both the cultures are coming into really into the same boiling pot, and I really appreciate Ajahn Brahm's initiative for this. He created it, and last time I remember one of the Australian, he told me, I think he had his views in the discussion. He told, we are very lucky, Bhante, because Ajahn Brahm taught us how to respect the monk, how to respect the Buddha, and all the simple basic things. And not only that, he gave some moral training and the concentration training. Maybe criticized, telling that he is not teaching Vipassana, but whatever may be, Tejaniya, Venerable Tejaniya and myself come in and giving some instructions on the Vipassana, but Ajahn Brahm never contradict that kind of thing, giving the total opportunity, and therefore we are very lucky. So therefore there are some trends are developing in the intercultural and kind of thing. So this is a very good combination. This is a very good kind of a harmony. So that is why I feel that so far we are very good. So far everything happened in a very harmonious way. So if we keep it open, the discussion, I think the outcome will be much balanced one. But anyway, what we are going to do is putting our views and keep the issue open, so that the management or the organizers take everything into the consideration in the next time and discuss and come. And therefore, please, everyone, come next year also.
My idea was also one thing to keep it open so that younger people will come. I know the Bhikkhunis appreciated it very much, and they're very sorry that they couldn't come this year. I know, I love listening to the sermons in I really love it. But still, out of compassion, we do understand, we do get something from English. I really like to have it in both languages, so that little by little the younger people might start coming. Those who are in their 20s and 30s and things like that. Like my own children, they understand basic Sinhala, but they don't understand your talk saying. I did it for selfish reasons too. So Tamil we have to, I know it's beautiful in Sinhala, but
you can balance it.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. You can balance it next year.
That's what we do this year.
I'd like to also share that this retreat has been a groundbreaking kind of retreat for the whole of the centre, believe it or not. Last year, this was the first retreat that was fully supported by Dana. And the impact of that immediately was that the BSWA retreats have become predominantly, but not yet fully, supported by Dana. And then also now this year, this retreat is overbooked. And I think it's a very positive thing, personally, because the accommodation is bountiful here. And what happens in the Western retreats is that they just book enough people and so forth, and then there's dropouts, and then they have a call-up list and all this. And then also the feeling is totally different on this retreat, from my point of view. I have attended other Vipassana retreats here, And the Western style of Vipassana is quite dry. They strip out all the rites, the rituals, the chants at the evening time, and these kind of things that just kind of reach to the heart. And it's a lovely soft feeling in this retreat that is not quite as, like I say, drier in the other Vipassana retreats, where Vipassana is viewed as a kind of technique for sort of psychological development and so forth. And it isn't necessarily seen as an escape from samsara. And so I think it's very important in how it colors some of the other Vipassana retreats. Also, this retreat is fully supported by donation. It's free. Again, this is an important aspect that as a monastic within this community, that we really want the retreats as much as possible to be as free as possible, and that we would encourage in general in society that people do Dharma as a means of supporting their higher aspirations. So, when it's viewed as a price, I think I made this point during my Dhamma discourse, when you price the Dhamma, when you start to quantify, well, I put in this much, I should get that much out, then you don't get the Dhamma. You have to have a sense of pricelessness and just an open-heartedness and a very sweet nature and a soft nature. And I think there's so many things that are happening, on so many levels within this retreat, and they are affecting the other retreats. I know they're categorically affecting the BSWA retreats, and I really hope that some people who are here are going to go back and affect some of the Vipassana retreats and say that it can be done. It really can be done here in WA or here in Australia. Like I heard comments that this is the cheapest place to do a retreat in Australia. This should be the freest place to do retreats in Australia, not the cheapest. And it really helps your practice, as I preached about mudita, and that how do you get mudita? You have to see the generosity of others, essentially. That is the real exhibition of wealth. So, you guys really have it. And as I said, just work it to the max with your practice of mudita. And you can really help your practice in general. So, there's a lot of things happening with this retreat in particular. It's a real leader, actually, from my point of view.
We'll say sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Yes?
I just add for Kalaka's benefit, but you remind me, I said the same thing to Bhante that I appreciated the deep Dhamma talks. Not only the Sinhala ones, but English ones as well. And he said that all his talks are on the website, so the ones that Nissarana will also be there someday, and also you will be able to get a feeling of
yes, yeah, I know.
Everyday ones.
Face-to-face, we like to hear it. But it's okay, we can balance both. If we see there. And it's right at and actually it's right at the Sri Lankan Sound community to have a Sri Lankan monk teaching us in English. So it's good for Sri Lanka.
මටත් හොඳයි. Okay, now it is 9:45. Any other views or any other thing to express? Because tomorrow I think I am leaving at about 12:45. And tomorrow timetable is 9:30. We are going to have a talk, isn't it?
Yes, sir. 9:30.
That is the English last talk. And soon Venerable has to... No, organize either way, because he is also here, he also can do. Otherwise, at the beginning of the Dhamma talk, he can start. Yes. But usually it is doing, best thing is to do at the last. Anyway, we'll keep it.
Finishing after that, maybe when they ask you now to go, we clear up and we go so we can get the practices at that time.
Yeah. And there won't be a meeting really for this kind of, because it's only for the Dhamma talk. I think I'm not encouraging more any meetings. This is enough. And but anyway, that if anyone has something to say, we can take few minutes and see the end of the day's program. So we have to really thank for all the people, those who contributed, seen and unseen beings, and remember all our dear and near ones. Invite them to come and share with mudita, the sympathetic joy, and with the help of all the medicine we have accumulated, the wholesome things, may we remember our final goal, may we straighten our final goal, and hope that we will get a gathering and companionship of the co-workers, co-meditators again and again. With that idea, we will be reciting the stanzas as we did last few days, and that will be the end of the today's program. Ittavata cagammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbi deva numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cagammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe bhuta numodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ittavata cagammehi sambhatang punya sampadang sabbe satta numodantu sabba sampatti. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahitika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahitika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha devanaga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva cirang rakkantu mang parang. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṁ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Imina punya kammena māme bāla samāgamo satang samāgamo hotu yāva nibbāna pattiya. Imina punya kammene māme bāla samāgamo satang samāgamo hotu ānapattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Sukhi hontu. Sadhu, sadhu, anumodami. Sadhu, anumoditabbang. Kamami kamitabbang. Sukhi hontu. Sukhi hontu. Abhivādana sīlisse niccang vaddhā pacāyino cattāro dhammā vaddanti āyuvanno sukhang balang. Āyurārogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevaca ato nibbāna sampatti mināti samijjatu.